Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm excited to be here. We are a few minutes late today. We had a little last minute confusion there, but we are all here. I'm excited to come in and chat with all these beautiful ladies that you see that I have here with me today. They all hold, oh, they're all going to make me cry. They all hold this beautiful, special place in my heart. And I'm excited that you guys get to experience them in their beautiful energy today. So for those of you who don't know, if you're new here, we've had some new people. My name is Gina Strole. I'm an intuitive healer, psychic medium, and spiritual coach. And I get to work with beautiful women just like the ones you see here today and helping them with intuitive healing. So I kind of asked them to come and join us today so that we could talk about intuitive healing and what intuitive healing really is, and how it's changed their lives and what it's done for them. Because I think sometimes there's a misconception about what intuitive healing really is. It's kind of we hear about intuition and it's kind of this weirdo thing that's just thrown out there. So I thought today would be a good opportunity just to have a chat. I'm just going to ask them some questions. They get to share whatever they want to share. I have worked with all of these women right here for at least 6 months. Most of them longer. So not most of them, some of them longer, we'll say today. And so I get the honor of getting to know them on such a deep level. So I'm grateful to have you all here today. I have Christina with me and Jenny and Marini, and we may have some more pop in. There was some others who said they may or they may not. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll just leave it open to the universe. So thank you, ladies, for all being here and for taking time out of your day. I know Jenny's like, I was out mowing the yard. I just finished. We were running. So as we talk about healing today, I just want to start off, and I just want you to know you guys can all share. You're free to, unmute. Let's just chat. Let's have a conversation just like we would in class, because I think, it's really, this is a good opportunity. I know today by you guys just sharing part of your stories, you guys get to help and inspire other women. And I know that as we come together as leaders and we start doing our healing work, we literally inspire other people. And so this is a cool opportunity today to do that. For whenever people watch this, whether it's today or in 5 years from now, who knows? Who knows that one thing that you might say that will touch the lives of just that one person. So I'm excited. So we can just start. Whoever wants to talk, we'll talk about what is intuitive healing to you, your definition of intuitive healing. So we're gonna throw you all under the bus right off the bat.
Well, Gina, I first got introduced to intuitive healing a little less than a year ago, and then through some local practitioners, who then one of those introduced me to you last December, as you know. And since then, really gained a deeper understanding on what intuitive healing is, because I'm sure I was like many of them out there. I was like, okay, what is this? Or is this some guru, somebody that's going to tell me what's wrong and how I need to fix it? Which at points was like, yeah, sure. I'll do what it takes here, because I was trapped in my own life. It was how I felt when I came looking. Physically in pain from a car accident several years ago, and trying to find something better when the doctor said this is as good as it gets, and kind of had to make a decision and go, no, I don't like how I feel, and this isn't it. So I need to find something better. As far as the intuitive healing, I see it as the person you're working with, and in this case you, as a guide. And it really is my journey, my decision, my discovery of what I need to work on, how I need to heal. But sometimes we get stuck in like a whirlpool of a river. You're spinning around and you don't want to be there, but you can't see the way out. And that's what you've been able to do, is get me out of those whirlpools and keep me flowing. On to the next one, so I could clear those out and move on to the next one. Because at times some of it has felt like a whirlpool. You just kind of get banged around, and but I think life does that to us too, because when we're dealing with these deep issues that have brought all of us to a place of there's got to be something more, something better. It's because we're tired of being banged around, you know. Sometimes life, that's what it does. It's not pretty, but that's what it does. But I know and I can see the changes and the things that I've been willing and able to face since being on this journey have been monumental. And from childhood abuse and molestation to anxiety and PTSD from those same instances, thinking about coming on and talking about this today, I actually had an experience yesterday with work, a very unbelievably stressful meeting over some issues with someone questioning the way I had been doing my job for the last year on a project. And that would have sent me off as soon as the meeting was over, running for the bathroom, crying in a stall, deep heaves. And all I did was get up, walk away from my desk after it was over, take a deep breath, couple of deep breaths, then sit back down and go on to the next meeting. And then just release it. And even last night I dealt with some other stuff. I was like, well, crap, if I can deal with that, I can deal with this other stuff too. Let's just do it all today. And Gina knows about it because I messaged her last night and I said, okay, I did it. I did that next step. What's next? So.
And I told you to take a break, didn't I? I was like, take a break. She's like, what? That's not the answer I was looking for.
That was not what I was expecting. I was just like, take a break. I was like, okay. And that's honestly what my guides have been telling me this week anyway, is that enjoy the peace, be at peace. And it's phenomenal to just sit in that peace and in that place. It really is. Because
I think so many times too, as you're saying that piece, that unrest inside of us is what drives us to start doing this work. And unrest is a really good word. Like, you know, most of us can't even sit with ourselves before. We don't want to sit with ourselves. We stay busy. We do busy things. We do all the things to avoid even having to even think about sitting with ourselves. But I love that, Christina. Thank you for sharing that. Like, seriously. And those of you, Christina has to leave early today, so if you see her wave and tap out, we'll know what she's doing. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. I loved your whirlpool story too. That's super cool. That was a very good way of explaining that. So does anyone else want to tap in and talk about what it is for them?
So for me, you know, I would really, you know, I loved, Christina, when you said looking for that better way, because that really was my guide of like my whole life. I was on this quest, and that's really, you know, how I found things like Reiki and acupuncture and body work and, you know, all these things where to me, intuitive and healing always go together. They have to. And I truly believe that our body has its innate wisdom. And if we can just tap into that and support that, the body will heal itself, right? Like the Band-Aid and the cast, like they don't do anything, the body does it. And so, so on this, you know, quest of there has to be a better way, for me too, it was a lot of trying to heal from trauma, being neurodivergent, not knowing about it. So really, really having to, you know, live in this world that wasn't suited for me. And I'm so sensitive and have strong emotions and things like that. And always constantly trying to adjust myself and not really honoring myself. It was really hard for such a long time. And I naturally became a healer, as you know, I'm naturally very nurturing and care for other people. And I learned all of these powerful healing techniques. And, you know, what struck me for me, it was when I had my first session with Gina, that I had never experienced a healing session or an intuitive healing session like that. And, and she so quickly could go to those perfect places of like those things that I tried to hide from, and push just the right amount, right? Not too much that it's overwhelming, but enough that you can really peel those layers off. And I was struck by, you know, the power of that session. And so when this healing, you know, I really was curious, and I was like, I want to learn how to do this. But really, the thing for me was learning how to do this for myself was a huge thing. So I appreciate what Christina said about a guide, because, you know, I'm used to healing other people, but really to learn a deeply powerful way to do this for myself, and with Gina's support of getting the healing. You know, it's like this, you know, I love that she does both. She incorporates, you know, the healing sessions from her, to do when you hit those blocks that you're like, okay, this is too big for me to do on my own. And that at the same time, learning the skills of how to do it for myself was just a really powerful combination. And, I can only say that because it's intuitive healing, that each person's journey will be their own and different, and it'll be the exact right journey for you. Each one of us had a different experience, and it was like we grew tremendously in our own ways. For me, I like my ability to manage strong emotions, in relationships, in my closest relationships, to decrease conflict, to be able to set boundaries and communicate myself. You know, these are things that were always challenging, um, you know, especially like in certain relationships, like when I would get deeply triggered. But I've been able to, like Christina said, make these monumental changes that everybody can see. You know, everybody who knows me can see it. I've been able to step into, like a greater sense of self-acceptance and release a lot of self-criticism and judgment. At the same time, I've been able to do the work to go beyond ego and incorporate my shadows and see those parts of me that are maybe less pleasant, you know, and all of that together has given me this unshakable strength and confidence to be me, which, I think is just such a powerful place to be. So, yeah, I think the biggest thing with the intuitive healing is it really is individual.
Yeah. Absolutely, Rainey, and thank you. And I was just thinking what a kick-ass killer you are. Healer, you are, not a killer. Kick-ass healer, we'll say that right. That you are all on your own. Like, you know, some of us just spent time at a retreat together, and Rainey shared her gifts and how much they have changed this year because of the healing work that you have done, and how now you're able to go out and impact other people's lives as well. You've made such monumental changes. So thank you for sharing all of that. Jenny, I don't want to put you on the spot, but
I don't know. For me, I just needed somebody to hold up a mirror. I needed somebody to show me, hey, Jen, you white knuckle it through life. Hey, this anxiety, how am I going to handle these situations and dodge them and stuff? I needed somebody to help guide me through that and not only with anxiety, but my life in general. Just sitting down, feeling like you're talking to a friend that absolutely can see the core of you and guide you to a better way of knowing a better way to use your intuition and use your sensitivity and use all of it to face your everyday stresses, everyday anxiety, everyday life, and show you an easier way of observing the situation, seeing where it's coming from, and here's a different perspective to handle it. And for me, man, I've had big changes as far as how I handle everything in the littlest tasks of my everyday. Instead of like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Or just get so angry everywhere I go. Instead of doing that, I can sit back and say, okay, this is the situation. How is this me? What control do I have? Versus this is a situation. I need to sit back and look at it. And I've really just been guided into a healthier way of thinking, healthier way of feeling. Hey, maybe it's not so bad to be sensitive. Maybe it's not so bad to have such huge emotions. Instead, learn how to use them better. Learn what do these emotions say. Learn maybe a deeper understanding of myself. That's what it's been for me.
Beautiful, beautiful, Jenny. Thank you. I'm so proud of you too. This was no monumental task for you, and I know that. And you just did it. Like you've just been doing it for years. So I'm just gonna call you out on that. Like it's a good call out. Like it's like yeah, good for you, because that was so beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. So, Christina, you got just a couple more minutes. I'll ask you first. We'll start. So, what is your biggest change that you have seen in yourself?
Wow. I think it's the release of the fear of not controlling things. Because so in the past, I felt that the only way to protect myself was to control as many of the elements around me. And part of that came through being a perfectionist at work, at home. And then when I didn't match up to my own standard, which was, oh my gosh, way past anybody else's. And then even when I achieved it, it wasn't enough. You know, it felt like, oh, okay, I did that. Now what? Now I got to do something better. And being able to sit back and go, wow, you know, I'm a rock star. So, and I think that was a big part, as I mentioned before, with the meeting I had in it when my thought process was, you're not about to go where I think you're going with this, because I've done nothing wrong in my job. There were lessons learned. I could have done a few things better. Who couldn't? But it was from somebody that wasn't even in my side of the organization. So it was someone on the outside questioning if I did my job right. And I was like, no, we're not going there. And I realized during the whole part, because I didn't rise to it, which I would have gone immediately on the defensive, I let them have their say. You know, they said their piece, and then I came back and went, well, this is what it is. And we finally got to the point where we needed to. But that wouldn't have been me 3 months ago. That definitely wouldn't have been me 6-9 months ago. Yeah. So I think it's releasing the fear of needing to control it, needing to protect every element has been the biggest change. And man, the energy that I have left after not holding on to that is absolutely amazing.
The rock star. I'm not running down the rabbit hole with it all the time. Like, everybody has a right to their own opinion, but here, I'll hear your side and let's talk about it. But I don't need to make it about me and everything that I've ever done wrong in my whole life, because that's usually where we used to go. Like, okay, well, that's my problem. And yeah, I've never been good and it's always my fault. Nobody ever listens to me. Like, we go down the little rabbit hole where how cool. Like, to me, it's beautiful. Like,
And I stopped it in its track, which, as you know, that never would have been able beforehand to just say, oh, okay, yeah, I get why I'm feeling upset, but they've got a right to express themselves for this little bit, and and then we'll move on.
Yep. Yep. Good for
And
you.
then I just went on to the next meeting and the next semester.
Great.
Got home and was like, whew, okay.
Anybody else want to throw a dagger? I got you.
Yeah.
Awesome, Christina. Thank you. What about you, Rini? Do you want to share on that one?
So I was wondering, can I choose just one? There's been so many. But I think, for me, I always relied on externally, like external approval, external validation, and, things like that. And then, when that also made me really permeable to when I would get negative messages or like in a fight or things like that, that I would really take those messages and run and, jump into the rabbit hole with them. And there was a lot of self-sabotage there. And so I think what's been really powerful is being able to look at, get those things internally, meet my own needs, and then also look at those things so that I can actually see, like, oh, is that true? Is this, where is that coming from? And all of those things, so they don't have to be running me. And the space that's created inside for me to connect with spirit has been just life-changing.
Yeah.
And what that's created is this unshakable strength and confidence that I didn't have before. So it's just really allowed me to kind of tap in and center and ground, and I'm not just I don't just shift with the wind of however the energy is, or people, it's like if my kids are, upset and saying things, and it's just like, I don't have to be shaken by that. I know my worth. I can connect with that. So that, to me, I think has been the most profound shift.
I would agree. That's been huge for you this year. Relationships have been huge for you this year.
Yeah.
And I know we have more to come. I'm like, I can't wait to see where you go with it in the next 6 months. Like, you'll be like standing there, your kids will be yelling and screaming at you. You're like, yeah, well, that's great, but here's the deal.
I'm already prepared. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna work on this, and ooh,
yeah. Oh. Jenny, do you want to tackle that one?
For me, one thing is I've learned, instead of people pleasing, instead of putting up a mask, if I'm a certain way, then people will like me, people will get along, people will, this is what I have to be for the world. Instead, I've learned, I'm learning to step out from that, and by healing my inner child, by everything, grounding my energy, by learning how to, instead of taking anxious feelings and shoving them down and letting them rot on the inside till it medically shows up, instead of doing that, just building up my confidence, building up my insides enough to step outside of that mask and show up for the world, show up in a much more healed place. So I think that's, for me, has been the hardest and the biggest thing. I'm still working on it, but here's the path, So that's it.
And you're doing it. You're doing it every day. I watch you. The girl that I met clear back in January is not the person who's sitting in front of me today. And I remember when we started class and I told you all to take a good look at every one of yourselves in the mirror because you need to tell that person goodbye. And you have done that. Like you told her thanks, but no thanks. It's been nice, but because you're very different today than you were.
Feel it. I
Um,
feel it.
were back then. Your confidence level, all of you are that confidence level, that place of really grounding yourself and knowing who you are and discovering more about yourself each and every day. What would you tell someone who's scared to start their intuitive healing path? Remember all that fear that comes up when we first get and our ego gets in the way. And
I've got another minute, but
okay.
Let me see if I can answer. Take a deep breath and take the first step. Because I was right there.
Is it worth it? Is it worth all the fear and the scariness and the unsure and the ego and all the stuff? Is it worth?
It is worth getting past it. Yes. No, you didn't enjoy it when you were fighting through it, but to be on this other side and knowing that there's even better on the other side of the next portion is so worth taking that step of faith. If that's what it takes, just a step. If not, take the leap, take the plunge, go for it. There's going to be rewarding change at the end.
Yeah. Thank you, Christina. Okay, love you, girl. Thanks for coming. Yep. All right, Rainey, what about you? What do you tell that person that's like, I don't know?
Well, I would say that when you avoid, sorry about that.
Oh no, hold on. There we go. Okay. Uh-oh, I muted. What happened to Rainey?
So when you avoid because of the fear, it just gets bigger. But when you start to, it's just like bite sizes at a time. And what I can say is you will be held in the most beautiful, loving, just non-judgmental container that you can imagine to support you through it. So just do it because it really will change your life.
What about you, Jenny? What was that fear like?
Oh my gosh.
What was that fear like of stepping into that?
I was so afraid. I was intimidated. When you look to climb a mountain, right? You look up the mountain, you're like, holy crap, how am I going to get over that? But you just plug your nose and you jump. You do it because it's worth it. 100%. I was so scared. I was so worried, I was vulnerable. How do I do this? And you are in such a safe place, such a place that everybody's right there with you. You can trust everybody. You step in there and you have all of these people to walk with you. It is scary, and it's hard, but that's once you get past that, once you get over yourself, you learn how to deal with that fear. Once you step into it, then you're like, oh, it's so much better. You think, why was I scared? Why was I holding on? But once you let go and fly. That's for me. I was scared. It is scary.
I remember you being terrified. Like you're like, I don't know. I want to do it, but I don't know. It's like I threw you out on the edge of the diving board and said, just jump. And it's like 500 miles down there. And you're like, what? Jumping.
That's what it was. That's how it was. It was so scary. Once you do it, once you decide, once you can recognize why you're scared, once you can recognize what your ego is and how is it telling you to be scared and to resist and to do it, it's going to be like that, but you do it anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. I think life's a lot that way. We could sit here and talk about this all forever and ever because I think life is a lot that way. It's there's so many scary things and so many mountains and, just like you're saying, standing there looking at the bottom of it going, what the hell am I going to do now? And then you start one step at a time and that's kind of how intuitive healing is too. We don't get any more than we need. It comes at exactly the time that it's ready to go and it comes up for us and we work through it and few more steps and a few more. Pretty soon we're like 3/4 of the way to the top, and we're looking down, going, "What the hell? How did that happen?" Like, woo! So I think that is, yeah, I love that. So, is there any other final thoughts? Anything? Rini, anything you want to talk about? And the other thing we should talk about is you guys have all been in, and we don't have to talk about that, but you guys have had this support group. You guys, we have part of us here today, but you've had this support group. You've created this friendships with these other women who are on the same path, which has been, to me, as the guide to step back and watch you guys create this relationship has been like holy empowering. Like that's how it's been so empowering to watch you guys all step into it and learn to trust each other, and learn to trust again, real, because a lot of times there's those relationship blocks that come up when we're afraid to trust people and we're afraid to trust anything and we feel too vulnerable. And so you guys have kind of all been in that big lovely container too, which has been a glorious, and we're about to do 6 more months of it, which is going to be amazing. Like, but do you have any final thoughts, Rini? Like anything about healing, your journey, anything you want to share?
Yeah, when I started, I was really in a big transition place. I just moved across the country and was just kind of really shifting my business to really step into doing it fully aligned. And there was a lot of fear on board for that. And when I look at it now, and it's going and it's thriving, and I'm having, it's like every week I'm having these amazing sessions, and it's like I can feel how much I've come into alignment. And I was going to say about the community, the retreat that was a part of it, it's leaving my family for the weekend is not something, I hadn't done that for 8 years. So it's not something that's common for me. And, it's like this group and the retreat, it's life-changing, and it's like continually been life-changing. And it's even sometimes beyond words to communicate how much has shifted through this group. And the support that Gina and the group provided was always, what I love is it's always in that moment you can get the support that you need. Because I think some groups you go into and it's like maybe lacking in some areas or whatever. And this was just, it was just so supportive, the right mix of elements together so that you feel safe to make these changes. It doesn't have to freak, you don't have to freak out in it, because you're just helped so much. So I just would say it's transformational. It's life-changing, and in such a loving, supportive way. So, and the relationships are a big part of that.
Yeah. I loved our retreat because we all came home from that and it was like this big, huge shift just happened, myself included. Like I had to come home and like take a hot minute because it was huge. There was some big changes that happened there for all of us. So I'm glad we can start doing retreats again, because there for a long time that wasn't even an option. Those weren't open for possibilities. So what about you, Jenny? Any last things?
Any last things to say? I mean, Rini, you said it perfectly. Just my takeaway, being in a group has made it so much easier to show up vulnerable, surrounded by love, surrounded by friends, surrounded by people that have different opinions and different thoughts that can help you grow. And for me, it made it so much easier to just get out of my head, get out of myself, and just grow spiritually, just grow as who I am. And I like hearing everybody else and learning from them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's been me.
And I do have one more question because Spirit's like hitting me over the head with it. So you guys have been with me long enough to know how that goes. Like they start like banging the, it's like, I heard you, give me a second. Like, what would be your one tip that you would give to someone who's just starting their healing journey, or is, and maybe your tip too is maybe they're a little bit hung up somewhere. What would your one piece of advice be for somebody out there?
I would say that there is a pearl in where you're stuck. And even the way that pearls are created, right? It's this grain of sand in the clam that's agitating the area, and it actually releases this like mucusy thing around it and in layers, and then like that's the pearl. And so being able to be in that place where you're starting it and it's hard, but know that these layers, every layer you release, you're just making this pearl more and more beautiful.
Rainey, you always have like the most profound way of putting things. You always blow me. That's why Spirit's like hit me over the head. He's like, one more question. That is like beautiful. That is such a good analogy of what this is all like. Like so many times we get stuck and we think, oh, we get in the rut and we think this is ridiculous and I'm worthless. Obviously, I can't even work out my own things and all the things that we tell ourselves. And then it's really the beautifulness that is about to explode inside of ourselves. And we're just being nudged to get rid of some of these layers so that we can discover our true beautifulness in there. Oh, thank you. I'm like, thank you. That was so beautiful. Like, Jenny, do you have?
For me, like you told me, imagine it being better. Imagine it being easier. Imagine facing your everyday, facing your stresses, facing heart rage at Costco. Imagine all of that, getting through it in a more healed way. Imagine being and loving more purely, being at a better place, being at an easier place. Imagine what that could be. Imagine your better self and showing up as that. Imagine it being easier to handle Costco on a Saturday morning. Imagine being able to deal with roundabouts and traffic jams and all that stuff and being in a better place about it. Easier place.
Yeah.
Flowing through life a lot different instead of dodging problems that come at you. Imagine going with it. For me, like you said, imagine being in a better place. Imagine it being easier. This is the way to do it.
Yep. That's just it. Intuitive healing to me is all about that hope. And if you can give people that hope, if you can give someone hope, you've won half the battle right there. Like, that's been my thing that I've tried to do every single day is bring that hope out. There's always hope. There is no, this isn't the end. This isn't, your life isn't over. You haven't done anything that's going to prevent you from doing your healing work. There is nothing that bad on the face of the, like, I don't care what it is that you think that is so terrible. None of it is terrible. And all of it is hopeful and all of it's for our learning and growth. So I appreciate you guys so much from the bottom of my heart today. I always love having these conversations. I love it that you guys took time out of your busy days to come and join me. So thank you. For those of you who are listening today, thank you for being here. I hope that this has brought, maybe there's that aha moment for you of like, oh my gosh, I can make it. I can do it. Because that's what this is all about. And we're here to empower women. You're looking at some ladies who are some amazing leaders, all of them in their own way. And they're leaders because they're here showing up, taking the hard paths, doing things to make their lives and this world a better place. And to me, I'm honored to be a small part of that. So thank you, ladies. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming and joining us today. And we will talk to you all very soon. If you have any questions, you want to DM me, anything that we talked about today, that feel free to DM me, Renee or Jenny too, like if you can find it. Reenie's got her business page. Reenie Hart, is that what it is? I'm like, I'm gonna screw it up because I'm in
Mystic Heart. Yep.
this. Okay, so yeah, she can put that in the comments later for you yesterday if you want to see more Reenie stuff. So and Jenny's beautiful. Jenny, she's not just, she is lovely and she's doing her work too. So thank you, ladies. Thank you for being here. And we will talk to you all very soon. Bye.